actually coming up to the end of the scenic drive, but not the end of the driving tour. We'll see a sign ahead that points to the left for Capitol Gorge and to the right for Pleasant Creek. Also, when we reach that sign, if we can, slow right down, or even quickly stop if we're not in anyone else's way. Have a look at the beautiful rippled Moenkopi slab used as the backing for the sign. Those ripples weren't carved by stonemasons. I'd go so far as to say, if we stop at the parking area, just even walk back to the sign and examine it up close. Here's what we should do now. We should now follow the drive to Capitol Gorge. So keep to the left when we reach the junction. It'll feel like we're just simply continuing straight ahead. I'll talk about the Pleasant Creek option when we turn around and drive back from the gorge. After the sign, we'll see a larger parking area with some shaded picnic tables. And after that, the road pavement will end. The road is well maintained and it is suitable for regular vehicles. But there are trailer and vehicle size restrictions. It's best to stop there and read the signage if we're driving a bigger RV or need to leave a trailer behind before we continue. As always in these parts, be cautious if the weather looks like it could deliver rain and create flash flood conditions. Even from the approach, you'll see that the gorge looks incredible, and I highly encourage us to take this 2-mile drive on the Capitol Gorge Spur Road.
That sign he was talking about. But they didn't carve that. That was...
I want a piece of that.
Excellent. Let's drive to the end of the road. Now, you most likely don't need me to tell you, but let's take it nice and easy through here, okay? So many fantastic formations to see, and not the widest road to navigate. Up until 1962, when Highway 24 was completed, that's the highway we used to reach Capitol Reef. This was the only route through the Water Pocket Fold. Native Americans had followed this route for centuries. When Mormon settlers arrived, they put in a solid week of hard work to make the route suitable for wagons. Though I don't think anyone would have called it a smooth ride. They connected settlements along the Fremont River to a tiny place called Nodum on the east side of the fold. A straight line distance of about 10 miles. But a much more complicated route on land. Because it's a natural canyon and prone to flash flooding, some travelers were lost in the worst occurrences. But fairly regularly, the route had to have flood debris cleared from it to be passable. Once the highway provided a more reliable alternative, the Capitol Gorge Road as a through route was closed, changed to just being for sightseeing like we're doing today. For most of our drive so far, we've had to look above the Moenkopi and Chinle layers to see Wingate and Navajo sandstones. Now, because we're driving through the layers and into the younger rocks, we're now surrounded more closely by Wingate. And further on our drive, we'll get clearer views to telltale white dome shapes of Navajo. Both of these formations, or layers, were created in a similar way. Both made by nearly pure quartz sand that became fossilized sand dunes. But why do these layers look quite different if they were made in the same way? Well, it has to do with the cementing of particles together. Wingate is well cemented, also demonstrated by how it formed such amazing cliffs. It contains more iron oxides, and like rust, that makes the rock appear redder. We also see fine examples of desert varnish streaking down the faces. In some locations that we may explore on our travels through Utah, Navajo sandstone looks much the same as Wingate does here. But because what happened to the rocks after they formed wasn't identical, the Navajo appears different. For example, here in Capitol Reef, the Navajo is more weakly cemented. The theory is millions of years ago in this location, while buried deeply underground, both groundwater and petroleum flowed through the Navajo layer, causing the cement to weaken, but also removing iron oxides, which effectively has bleached the rock, making it appear almost white. up the Grand Wash Spur Road, you'll remember that Swiss cheese effect that we see in the Wingate sandstone. This weathering texture is called honeycomb weathering, or the word I prefer to use, taphony. Just like the way it sounds. Taphony. Like you could just eat it. Excuse me, waiter, I'll have the taphony with the Swiss cheese sauce, please. Check with your doctor if eating weathered sandstone is good for you. This texture is a good indication that the sandstone holds at least some water, like a sponge. Water slowly percolating through the pore spaces in the rocks can dissolve some of the cement that holds the sand grains together. Once a hole starts to form, it's likely to hold even more water, and the de-cementing effect is amplified. The result is these spectacular Swiss cheese walls. Again, with the hungry, come on. Well, it looks like we've decided to drive down Pleasant Creek Road. If this was a mistake, let's get ourselves turned around in a suitable place and back on the scenic drive. If we did want to explore this way, then a little over 2 miles down the road is the current site of the Capitol Reef Field Station. It's built on the site of what was originally a basic ranch established by Mormon settler Ephraim Hanks back in 1882, and was occupied by several succeeding generations. He diverted water from Pleasant Creek to irrigate fields and establish an orchard of approximately 200 fruit trees. The blooming trees provided the name Floral Ranch. Much later, after Ephraim's passing, the ranch was expanded and renamed Sleeping Rainbow Ranch. Some of Ephraim's descendants still live in the county. Although this section of Pleasant Creek is a small oasis of tall grasses, wildflowers, shade-giving cottonwoods, and aromatic sagebrush, the remains of the historic ranch are located just a little further down past the field station. You'll see them. The road continues past the ranch, but its quality deteriorates further, and onward travel isn't really recommended. So, please turn around and return after reaching the field station.
The old farmhouse. They got a lock on the door. But there's a hole in the window. Not your, well, I guess it was your butthole, but. Let's see, make sure there's no snakes. Don't want no snakes. This might have been the cabin next day. It's got windows. I don't think you put. And there's a window there. Building over there collapsing. I'd say this was a barn or a stable for horses or something. You ready to go? to get a better look at this little shack. Wow, they would have fed these animals right in there. Pretty cool. This was a ranch, and it was later. There's apple trees. Oh, right there, there are apple trees.
Greenish. This is Johnson Mesa. Johnson Mesa was shaped as the previously much larger Fremont River was cutting down through rocks of the Moenkopi Formation. As we get closer, you'll see it's almost completely covered in black boulders. We also see collections of these round black boulders on some of the hikes, and also when we drive on Highway 24 east of the entrance. Here's a good question. Where did they come from? We haven't seen any black rock layers on our tour other than the thin coats of desert varnish. Well, the short answer is that these rocks came from a volcano 20 miles away and were broken up by glaciers and then moved and smoothed by powerful rivers until no more forces could propel them any further. I know, we've been all about the sedimentary rocks, and now I've dropped a volcano on you right at the end. The last thing, have you noticed the white splotches in the Moenkopi Formation rocks? Did you see that sometimes these rocks seem to sparkle? That white and sparkly material, it's all the same stuff. Unfortunately, not gold or even anything especially. All right, we're arriving back in Fruta. If we didn't explore the old buildings and orchards on our way in, I do encourage you to do it now. It's an easy and pretty relaxing thing to do. And there's actually still quite a few interesting places that I'll point out as we go. A few of these short stops are worth making, and there is a good place to keep an eye out for those black boulders I was speaking about at the end of the scenic drive. In the next minute and a half, there are two places of interest that will be on our left. The first is the Fruta Schoolhouse, all one room of it, and it's a pretty fun photo to take. It's funny because it seems like it's an unnecessarily long way away from where we've driven here. But really, it's only a 10-minute walk from where the town was if you cross the Fremont River. Go on and turn in for a quick look, or enjoy it as we just drive on by.
It's just sand. This way.
Hi.
Hello. Inside? No. Just look right here. That's okay.
All right, 20 seconds ahead, we'll see the turn on our left to go and take a closer look at some of those excellent petroglyphs. Definitely a worthwhile stop. Now we are quite expert at understanding how these were made by scratching through the dark desert varnish. These were created by the Fremont people, and the range of imagery is fantastic. I recommend taking your binoculars for a magnified look if we have them here.
degrees.
Toen moest ik tegen jou opmerken dat Cor niet doet, maar toen dacht ik ineens.
But you don't see a hand below there? Now, go to the left a little bit from that hand.
Is it Charlie Brown short?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh God, that
And
wasn't worth straining my
There's some other
eyes.
stuff there too.
That wasn't worth straining my eyes. My eyes are tearing. It wasn't like the other one.
Some of them are right there.
Like here's one right here. That I see something.
Oh, yeah,
No, it's like there's an envelope and something underneath it.
All right.
No, I'm heading back.
What time are we supposed to be back? It's 2:30 now.
2:30 now.
Probably 2:30.
Where they at?
They say.
Where they at? I'm not seeing them.
Oh, I don't know here. I just see this one that looks like. I didn't see the ones here.
Oh, okay. I figured there got to be some here at the end of the walkway.
I'm photographing the rocks.
Ah. I see carvings. They carve their name.
We've aimed to help you see things through the eyes of what a geologist sees when they're looking at this amazing landscape. My hope is that I've helped us understand how geologists try to take the clues around us and use the data they collect to work out how the landscape came to look this way. It can be challenging with so many different clues all mixed in together. Like, here's some sedimentary rock that's 250 million years old. Wait, but why is it sitting much higher than rock that's only 70 million years old? And why are these black-colored boulders lying around? Well, friend, when you look closely, they have holes in them, and that means they came from volcanoes. What? Why are they here when there's no other signs of volcanoes around us? Well, the round shape and smooth edges indicate they were brought here by glacial ice and rivers. So many things to try and interpret and put into a time scale. Does it matter if we understand the process and forces here? Or is it good enough to just enjoy the visual appeal of these amazing landscapes? For most of us, the answer is probably somewhere between the two. Anyway, clearly I am a little bit of a geology geek, and I don't make any apologies.
Now we're leaving out the other end of the park, and here's a pullout that says Grand Wash. Now we were on Grand Wash way on the other side of the park when we took the scenic drive. We went up Grand Wash, and I walked up Grand Wash about a half a mile. I didn't want to walk as far as the Narrows. This is the other end right here. This is the other end of Grand Wash right here. And if you go in from this end, the Narrows are only a little over 1 mile. From the other end, the Narrows for 2 miles. So if you just want to see the Narrows, this is the end you want to hike from. They're closer. But you can hike all the way through if you want to. And right there's the Narrows. Just to show you a picture, because I'm not going to hike up in there. Okay, and we're going to head on down the road. I think there's a little cabin down here, and then we're going to head down Mud Bench Road or something like Muddy something road. Into the part of the park nobody goes. So the Dahoon family, they lived here with 11 kids.
I know,
Yeah.
it's hard to believe.
Well, see all these holes?
Yeah.
Each kid had a hole. That's where the kids slept at night.
Oh, wow.
They slept.
That would be fun.
I got a little audio guy tell me about this stuff as we come up to it.
Really? That's really true?
And yeah, that's what it's telling me. They said it was a tiny little cabin. They raised 11 or 13 kids here, and it was saying how in the world did they fit 11 kids and 2 adults in the cabin? It said the kids slept, and it said to look at the holes in the walls. Each kid had his own spot, and that's where they slept.
Hey, look at this giant hole. That was huge.
Far right are the ruins of a very small one-room cabin built by Mormon homesteaders. The Dahoon family built this cabin out of sandstone blocks back in 1882 and lived in it for about a year with 11 of their 13 children. Then the family abandoned the cabin after their crops were washed out by flash floods. If you're like me, you're wondering, how the heck did 13 people live in a tiny one-room cabin? Sure, it wasn't easy, but it does help that the whole family didn't sleep inside the house.
Yeah, I can see-
Only
I
the
can see- I can
youngest
see how you can
children
lay
slept in the
somewhere.
cabin with their parents. The other
I
children
can see how you
slept
can
in
lay
the
it somewhere in
wagon
there pretty
or on
long.
rock alcoves. If you get out to look around, you'll see that the kids weren't the only ones sleeping in the alcoves. Look for disorganized piles of sticks, leaves, and other organic material.
I saw the roof.
These are pack rat nests, also called middens. On it. Those white domes are made of Navajo sandstone, and the thinner tan rocks on top are part of the Carmel Formation. We've just gotten a distant view of what puts the Capitol in Capitol Reef. Okay, when we're finished with this view, let's just turn around and drive back to Highway 24. Well, it looks like we've continued past the pullout. We do not want to drive any further this way as we're now leaving the tour route. Please find a safe place to turn around and let's drive back to Highway 24. Now, if we've come this way on purpose, then we might be looking to explore the Burr Trail Road. It is a very scenic area, but all unpaved and a little too far out of the way for most people who are visiting for the first time. If that's where you're aiming for, then you'll reach the turn in just over 30 miles from here.
All I needed to know. That's what I needed to know.
Well, congratulations, my friends. We've now passed through the eastern boundary of Capitol Reef National Park, and we've also just about reached the end of my tour. I'll tell you about what's ahead of us, but before I do, I just wanted to say thank you for trusting me to be your tour guide for Capitol Reef National Park. We've shared some complicated and scientific information at times, but I hope you enjoyed the stories and that we felt like we knew more about what we were seeing than those poor other travelers who weren't lucky enough to have me along for the ride. You know, they tell me humility is my best trait. Hey, if you did enjoy the tour, please leave a review on your App Store listing for my app or anywhere you like to post. It helps other travelers who haven't yet traveled with me understand what I do.